I don't know anything offhand that mystifies Americans more than the cotton they put in pill bottles. Why do they do it? What do they mean?
He is America's grouch-in-chief.
I make my living having opinions. All I'm saying is...
A crinkly old loudmouth speaking on behalf of pissed-off citizens.
That's what's wrong with what's going on in Washington.
And a watchdog.
Look at these boxes of stuff.
A junkyard poodle protecting consumers.
Check the size of those things. They not only puff the wheat, they puff the blueberries.
He's a patriot up to a point. Loves apple pie, hates baseball.
For one thing, the players all spit too much.
Andy Rooney has spent 30-plus years dispensing weird wit and wacky wisdom from his desk or soapbox or pulpit or whatever comes to hand.
You're looking at one of the places I like to be best, right here at this desk in my office. Get me Andy Rooney.
And he's 60 Minutes' unofficial advisor to the high and the mighty.
President Bush should stand up there in front of us on television and do the hardest thing for any president to do, tell us the truth.
Truth and fairness, virtues Andy learned as a kid growing up in Albany, New York. He says he was an average student with average grades, yet somehow got himself into Colgate University. Until 1941 and the beginning of World War II, a war he did not want to fight.
The draft board didn't care what I thought, and I was dragged out of college and into the Army kicking and screaming.
The reluctant warrior wound up as a reporter for Stars and Stripes, the military newspaper.
Tomorrow's Memorial Day.
And to this day, he speaks often and eloquently of those days and of absent friends.
Charlie Wood wrote poetry in high school. He was killed when his Piper Cub was shot down while he was flying as a spotter for the artillery. Bob O'Connor went down in flames in his B-17. Obie Slingerland and I were best friends and co-captains of our high school football team. Obie was killed on the deck of the Saratoga when a bomb that hadn't dropped exploded as he landed.
After the war, Andy got a job writing jokes for CBS's Arthur Godfrey show.
This is Mr. Rooney's joke. The favorite dish of the men from another planet who pilot the flying saucers is Venus Schnitzel.
Mr. Rooney gave up funny business and went to work with Harry Reasoner.
We're going to take a look at Scotland from a helicopter.
First on CBS Reports, and then as a producer for 60 Minutes.
Will you do me a favor?
60 Minutes creator Don Hewitt spent years looking for the perfect postscript to his broadcast and auditioned a parade of talent, from Billy Graham to Art Buchwald to the talking silhouettes. Andy was the guy on the right.
I'm just uneasy about what kind of president any of them would make.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And where there is smoke?
And then the long-running point-counterpoint with Shana Alexander speaking for the left.
And Jack, your right to blow smoke ends where my nose begins.
That's sound libertarian doctrine, Shana.
And Jack Kilpatrick for the right. It worked up to a point.
I can't agree.
Jack and Shana are taking a well-deserved vacation.
And then, in 1978...
3 minutes or so with Andy Rooney.
One of the things we can be sure of over the July 4th weekend is...
With that, Andy emerged from the shadows to begin his long run as the last word on 60 Minutes.
Had you noticed how often we're warned?
Add hand movements.
His whiny, inquisitive voice...
Will you please tell me why the...
And the demeanor of an unmade bed...
This is what I look like in real life. You surprised?
...were part of his appeal.
I don't know what to do. I try to look nice. I comb my hair. I tie my tie. I put on a jacket. But I draw the line when it comes to trimming my eyebrows. You work with what you got.
And the topics?
There it is.
Endless.
Something I've been meaning to talk to you about for a long time now is faucets. I change the oil in my car every once in a while, but once something gets in this glove compartment, it's there for the duration. Look at this stuff in here.
Absence of justice, presence of pomposity. And when he's really desperate...
You have one of these? Helicopter.
The clutter on his desk.
Got a lot of paperweights. What's a paperweight for, anyway? Papers don't blow around in here. I can't even open the windows. What do I need to weigh papers down for? Hi, I'm Harold, your waiter. What would we like this evening? I'll swap me my pickup for a...
And from time to time, he cannot resist the temptation to dress up.
I remember it as if it was yesterday.
He sees everything and everyone as a target, including one very close to home.
There are a lot of know-nothing boobs who don't appreciate the modern art being put up in public places in all our cities. I know this is true because I'm one of those know-nothing boobs. Nothing seems funny this week.
But in troubling times, he could console.
And liftoff.
He shared our sense of helplessness when the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in 1986.
We can all be prouder to be human beings because that's what they were. They make up for a lot of liars, cheats, and terrorists among us.
And in 1995, our anger over the Oklahoma City bombers.
I could kill the bastards.
And in 2003, he said this about the war in Iraq.
We didn't shock them, and we didn't awe them in Baghdad. The phrase makes us look like foolish braggarts. The president ought to fire whoever wrote that for him. I wish my America had never gotten into this war. Now that we're in it, I want us to win it.
During moments of great pride, he can be a regular Yankee Doodle Andy.
The fact that the citizens of this country, 80% of whom are white, freely chose to elect a black man as their leader simply because they thought he was the best choice makes me think that we have every right to be proud of ourselves. Well, look at it this way.
He has a wonderful knack for the perfect metaphor. But when he talks about women, well, listen to this.
There are as many different kinds of mowers as there are different kinds of women. Some you have to push, others you can ride, and some mowers, like some women, are self-propelled.
From time to time, he does get out from behind that protective desk.
Yeah, I've been up in a blimp.
And ventures into the imperfect world he loves to complain about.
$9 for 5 pounds of manure. Gee, that's hard to resist. This is all fun.
And when he's not on 60 Minutes, he doesn't mind getting in front of other people's cameras. Modest folk, like Martha Stewart.
I'd heard Martha was hard to get along with, but that's not true. Martha is impossible to get along with.
What was the name of your dairies?
You're trying to stop me from telling this story.
Ours was the Cerami dairy.
Am I going to tell this story, or are you going to tell your story?
Do you remember the name of your dairy?
And on a CBS morning show back in 1988, when he spoke with Kathleen Sullivan from his upstate home about his hobby, woodworking.
This is one of the last pieces I finished.
So how long did it take you to make that?
Oh, maybe 4 or 5 years at the most. No, I don't know.
Next to the wood shop, a writing shed complete with 17 Underwood typewriters, practically as old as he is.
There is nothing like having your work on a sheet of paper. And you
Printed words, he says, are more permanent than television. He admires good writing and writers, like his friend Harry Reasoner, who died in 1991.
How does the smartest man I have ever known lose a lung to cancer and continue smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day? I'm sad, but I'm angry too, because Harry was so careless with our affection for him.
As for that common enemy, old age,
I don't like being so old that I know a lot about some things that most of you do not know, but I am, and I do.
he finds nothing of value in the golden years.
Look at the condition I'm in. Hair gray, face wrinkled, brain dead, all bent over. I mean, I'm a mess.
He's not the most spiritual man in the world, but God, who's just a bit older than he is, does check in with him from time to time.
I heard from God just the other night. God always seems to call at night. Andrew, God said to me, he always calls me Andrew, I like that. Andrew, you have the eyes and ears of a lot of people. I wish you'd tell your viewers that both Pat Robertson and Mel Gibson strike me as wackos.
Here we go.
So what does a 91-year-old pain in the neck who's been everywhere and done everything wish for? What's been missing in this long life?
I'd like to be able to sing like Sinatra.
Some voice, some face.
It wouldn't hurt if we could improve certain parts of what we're like and how we behave. Maybe the drug companies could come up with a pill that would cure us of the evil in our nature. Things like hate, jealousy, dishonesty, selfishness. And one more thing, but this may be asking too much. I wish there was something we could all take to cure us of stupidity.